Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of the season, coming to you today from Navarra. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Well, Charles, we're set to round off what's been a very odd season at a very odd track, the medium layout of Navarra, a track that I described right upon wrapping the Formula Ford show earlier on today as looking like a sad guitar. It's going to be a rather peculiar race on a track that, let's face it, nobody really knows what to expect at.
Yeah, it is. It's a very new track that hasn't got a lot of laps in, and then you throw in not the standard Grand Prix layout. So that's going to change things up a bit. So yeah, looking forward to a very interesting race, but I think it's going to be fun because they usually are.
Yeah, it's usually pretty fun here in the Spec Racer Fords. I don't think there's been a broadcast that we have done with these SRFs where we have left them being like, you know what, I was immensely dissatisfied with the action there. It's been a brilliant season up to this point, and we do have those championship points to take a look at here, so I think we'll do that in just a couple of moments' time as we're off in the final round of the season right now. Marco Pinero looks pretty surefire for him to win the championship in Spec 1. 902 is his points tally as it stands right now. He's really turned up the wick in the past few weeks. Felix Moez looking to be on the comeback tour, but there's only so much that he can do with 828 as his current points tally with only one race left to go. Kane Lasky slotted in third with 769 points as his tally. Pretty nice tally right now. Slotted in third. Jason Green in fourth. Josh Justice runs at your top five. Nice to see the battle with Justice and Russell there for P5. Here's how it looks in Spec 2, where it's looking pretty close between Dirk Braun and Josh Wilkie. Dirk Braun, the sponsor of today's broadcast as well, through himself and Twisted Reflections Auto Paint, slotted in the lead in the Spec 2 point standings right now. Not terribly far in front of Mr. Wilkie in second, 618 for Braun compared to Wilkie's 574. Matt Thompson right there behind in third. Peterson Rocha and Kevin Adrian round at your top five in the points there. And we'll take a look now at the Masters category, where Antonio Reese looks to try and seal the deal on this championship here, holding on to a very comfortable gap between himself and Tom Gradwell. Brad Cathcart slotted in third. Jeff Fritscher only 8 points behind Cathcart, so that may be a battle to talk about for the final podium spot in the Masters points, with Jurg Mani running at your top five in that Masters category. So that's how it looks in the championship point standings heading off into this race around this newer track on the iRacing platform. The iRacing community at large was rather surprised when this track was added in, part of base content immediately here on the software, but quite a lot of people, myself included, were rather excited when the keys to this place were handed off to the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of keys, let's talk about the keys to tonight's race. So it's a short, fast track, hard-braking corners. You're going to see lots of drafting. You're going to see lots of overtakes into those hard-braking zones. So should keep the pack pretty tight for the majority of the race till we get to our pit cycle. Should see lots of side-by-side action. I think this is going to be one of those races where you're going to see a nice pack up at front, and we're going to see lots of jockeying for positions through those straightaways. And finally, drivers are going to have to watch the incident count because this is a track that you can slide off and collect X's very quickly, especially when it's a little used track and a little used configuration. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see if we have any drive-throughs coming through in the race.
Yeah, so around this track, the shortest one that we have visited all season long, 8 turns in all, and just a tick over a mile and a half. Let's do an onboard lap here with Dirk Braun in the 525 car, the sponsor of today's show, as he has his way down that start-finish stretch off into turn number 1. I have often described the opening series of corners here at Navarra as basically being the ones for Portimao if they approach the event horizon of a black hole. A little bit stretched out. He has his way off through 1, 2 into the hairpin at 3. This is the kink of turn number 4. Important to get the exit at 3 done well, because from there all the way through until turn number 6, you're flat out. Here's what makes the medium speed layout that shortcut that we take onto the back end of the circuit now and into the hairpin of turn number 6, the heaviest braking zone around this lap by far, going to be a pristine overtaking opportunity opportunity as well. So these racers going to look to try and stick it down the inside of their competitors as they head their way off through there. There's a kink of turn number 7, keeping these racers on their toes and give them a bit of a tough ride as they head their way off into the final turn, turn number 8, this hairpin to bring this lap to a conclusion. You're uphill through it. The weight transfer is a bit of a pain in the butt, but that right there is a lap with Dirk Braun as he gets abducted by UFO a couple of times and comes across the line. Will we see an improvement from your current championship leader in Spec 2? We will, as he jumps his way up into P17, bit of draft assistance and all of that. But we're starting off this season, Charles, in a somewhat similar way to how we or ending off this season, the way that we started it at Interlagos with Eric Luke up at the top.
Yeah, Eric Luke is not been here for a couple races and has been off just a little bit, obviously, with the promotion into Spec 1. A little bit of a difference, but he's done pretty well when he's been out there. And obviously, you can see him up on pole. Jason Green just behind. We've got the top 28 cars within 1 second of pole, and that tells you all you need to know about how the draft is going to work here. So this is going to be a crazy race. We're going to see lots of drafting up front, and the gaps in between the cars are probably going to be caused by incidents. Just to be honest about it, is you'll start seeing natural gaps in that train, and it's going to be because somebody spun or made contact or just went wide.
Yeah, so another point talking about this facility that we're racing at here today, actually 2 points, kind of talking about Navarra as a track. Again, added into iRacing only a couple of seasons ago as part of base content immediately. This track really more renowned as a motorcycle circuit than anything, and it's actually got a rather big facelift over recent years. Actually, last year they redid this place, so there have been some track changes, including one to the medium speed lat that adds in a chicane on that back flat out blast to slow it down a teeny tiny bit. We do not have those changes here on iRacing, and I'm not sure if we will get them at least for a while here in the sim. Do want to raise though about this track. We were kind of joking about this in the small little break between the Formula Ford broadcast earlier on and the Spec Racer Ford race here right now. Despite the fact that we are running at the Donington National layout, which, let's face it, that's a pretty small track, this somehow makes the Donington National layout seem minuscule in comparison. It's shorter by, I think, 0.3 of a mile and has 2 less turns.
Yeah, and it's a little bit faster as well. So obviously the Donington's a little twistier, and so it's a little bit slower. I think the lap times are 10 seconds or so, maybe faster here in these cars. And these cars in the Formula Fords, most tracks are really close to each other as far as lap times, maybe only a second or two difference. So yeah, you see a lot of difference there as we see a car off working his way through the grass. I think that is Flavio Andolo. And just to show you, we've got 28 cars within a second. We've only had 35 cars set a time, and there's only 39 cars on track. So 3/4 of the track, or 3/4 of the cars that are going to race are within a second of pole.
That is wild. That is so close throughout this field. You'll love to see the competitiveness here in, let me try that pronunciation again. You'll love to see the competitiveness here in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. All of these racers so close together. Eric Luke holds on to that provisional pole that stands right now. Jason Green set to be with him on the front row currently as Eric Luke still out there chugging the laps away. That's a thing here at the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Because you can't change the fuel loads in these cars, these drivers, as soon as the green flag comes down qualifying, they just have to do lap after lap after lap after lap to try and burn that fuel away and gain some time as tires go up to temp as well. So that's why there's never a dull moment in these qualifying sessions. Dirk Braun, your top qualifier in Spec 2, he's been able to jump up from that P21 that he had for a while. So that's Jason Perry taking the scene as basically a tornado. Yeah, you can see that smoke screen as he does donuts. Where I think that may be on the outside of turn number 6 on the full layout. So on the inside, turn number 5, you got that long left-handed sweeper to go into the outfield, and that's where I think Jason Perry is right now. I'm going to do a little bit of investigative journalism here and just zoom out. Yeah, so that's roughly where he is out there on the racetrack, and now I have to readjust this camera angle because it's now zoomed out so far that I can see other countries. So Charles, I'm going to pass it off to you as we get to the end of this qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to mention we've got some new drivers out here for their initial race with the Spec Racer Ford League here, Weekend Warriors. We've got Colin Earl sitting there in P14. I think this is his first time that I remember that name. We've got, let's see, as we wrote down, Jason Dunnington running in 26. I think this is his first event with us, as well as Patrick Hawkey in 28th. And I'm looking, I think there's a couple other ones as well. I do see Marcel Gorson, who we saw in the Formula Ford race earlier, is out here as well. So I know Guido is trying to feed me names, and I can't hear
Jason Dunnington.
Jason Dunnington. I believe I said that. So a few new drivers out there. We always appreciate having some new guys out there and seeing what their ability is and how well they integrate. But we've got 39 cars out there today. So this is, for a small track, that's a lot of cars. That's about double what you would see in an official race. So double the cars, double the time, and throw in a pit stop, and sure to be a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work out in terms of the real estate around this track either, because, I mean, again, this track, not a long one, only 1.66 miles. So if these racers have to share the racetrack with 35 cars, I feel like it's going to get rather cramped, especially as they head their way off into turns number 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the very start of this race. Following Antonio Reese, no drift assistance for him, so not expecting an improvement from your top. Oh, why am I getting the hiccups on this show? Top qualifier in Masters as it stands right now in the 914 car. You're a P10 starter as it would stand right now, with everybody getting abducted up into that UFO and getting dropped back into the pit lane. I think we'll be able to take a look at that starting grid in just a couple of moments' time for the final race of what has been an amazing season in the Weekend Warriors and certainly here in the Spec Racer Fords. And let's get it all up and rolling by taking a look at that starting grid. It's going to be Eric Luke in that Cloud Valve racing car starting this race from the pole position. Jason Green set to join him on the front row. Nathaniel Schramm will start this race in third next to Felix Samoas in fourth. Marco Pinero will start in P5 with Ian Joyner, the usual standout star in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, going to start this Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors race from sixth, I should say. Dirk Braun, the sponsor of today's show and the top qualifier in Spec 2, will start in seventh next to Kane Lasky, our SMB colleague. Jason Perry will start in ninth with Antonio Reese rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, starting in 11th is Claudio Gardini. Philip Berry will start in 12th. Jorg Monty starting in 13th. Colin Earl starts in 14th. Scott Russell in P15. Alice Pleva on the outside of row 8 in 16th. Kevin Adrian starts in 17th. Josh Wilkie will start in 18th. Alexander Gorson starting in 19th. Chris Thorpe rounding out your top 20. Hugh Simpkins starts in 21st. Josh Justice starts in 22nd. Joaquin Osbeck starting in 23rd. Andrew Love starts in 24th. Paul Jackson starting in 25th. Jason Dunnington starting in 26th. Adam Bradshaw 27th. Patrick Hawkey starting in 28th. Kurt Nunez in 29th. Tom Gradwell in 30th. Then rounding out your field, we have Peterson Rocha starting in 31st. Edgar Santinelli starting in 32nd. Ian Gibson starting in 33rd. Marcel Gorson starting in 34th. Mario Crimser starting in 35th. And Kane Halliburton starting 36th. Flavio Andalo starting in 37th. Andrea Favini starting in 38th. And Brad Cathcart rounding out your 39-car field. The final 5 cars did not set a qualifying time. But just to add to that, we had 28 cars within 1 second. We've got, I believe, 13 cars within a half second of pole.
That's pretty wild, and to see the amount of races that we have got out here on the track is pretty insane as well. I'm just doing the other quick math in my head. You're going to have one, if they are perfectly spread out, I am talking like dream breakfast scenario, that butter melts in the right way on that piece of toast, and you could spread it completely evenly across that piece of bread. I feel like that just made me sound like a crazy person, as if my commentary doesn't do that already. But if this field is perfectly spread out, you're going to have one car every single about 225 feet, which is that is very cramped.
Yeah, it is indeed. Less than the length of a football field. So that is very, very tight racing indeed. And it's all going to be about the start. So we need to get through the first 3 corners pretty cleanly. I think if we do that, we'll end up having a pretty good race. But, those first 3, because they're such a high-speed corners, then you have to get, kind of slow and kind of bleed your speed off slowly through 2 and 3 to make that hairpin turn. We get through there. I think we're going to be in for a really good race, but we got to get through there first.
And one more thing to raise, talking about the field being as packed in as it will be for this race, when we talk about the strategy content later on in this race, trying to find those bits of the track where you can join and not get held up by any cars around you, that is not going to be a very good situation. So we'll have to see how these racers manage the strategy, manage this 8-turn, 1.5 mile nearly long racetrack for the season finale of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. And it's going to be some rather familiar faces up at the front. Jason Green, Mr. JG2, alongside Eric Luke, the sponsor a little bit earlier on in this season. Dirk Braun, the Spec 2 category, the sponsor of today's show, and Antonio Reese, your top qualifier in Masters. But here we go. That green flag already swapping sides. Interesting to see that, but waiting for that green flag to come out with this field stacking up big time. Look at how disorganized it is right there in the back, but the green flag is out. The drivers are on their way, and somebody's getting shoot up and spat at. That's Dirk Braun dropping down, and contact being made. Huge up into the air there is Andrew Levis. Look at Marco Pinero sticking it 3 wide with himself, Eric Luke, and Jason Green down into the opening series of corners. He jumps into the race lead. Kane Lasky got to jump up to P2. Luke getting shown the door. Contact being made as they had their way off into turn number 3. There's a spin from Wilkie coming out of it.
Yeah, I see Wilkie around. I'm not sure what happened to Dirk Braun at the start, but he dropped like a rock back to the back of the pack, and it was just a matter of time before somebody did not get a good field of view and got caught out by him. And so, it was kind of weird. It wasn't like he was, squirrely or anything like that. It's just like he couldn't, as we see more contact there with Jason Perry coming through turn 6. Just still battling hard in amongst the mid-pack.
This is absolute pandemonium at the moment here. These racers throwing haymakers at each other. I'll tell you what, it's good clip material, but outside that, these racers maybe a little bit ticked. That's drama with Antonio Reese coming out of the final turn. He spun another driver involved in all that, I think, unless I'm very much mistaken. Yeah, that was Thompson with that moment. Huge stuff for him. Dirk Braun has made the decision to come down pit lane. What a wacky start here at Navarra. We were expecting drama, and we certainly got it with Kane Lasky now holding on to the lead.
Yeah, we have several cars in the pits already. Favini, Braun, Sanchinelli, Antonio Reese, Hawkey, and Russells. We have another incident there, and that's Felix Samoa's, or is that his teammate in the same car? Okay, it's the teammate in the other car. As we see another spin there, and that looked like it might have been, couldn't even tell. Just couldn't even tell. There's so much happening. Looks like we've got Crimser and we've got Cathcart with slowdowns. So more carnage in the back of the field.
What the hell is happening at this point in this race? These racers seeing red here at Navarra. Lasky and Luke and Pinero still making up your top 3, but outside those racers up at the front, it is just chaos, pandemonium, insert simile here. Holy cow. That was Jason Dunnington with a moment coming out of the final turn. You can see him swapping ends. You can see a little bit farther there in the back, a shot. Josh Justice, one of the cars involved in that turn 3 schism from a few moments ago. The front of that car looking really crumpled up, as still side by side into 1, 2, and 3 goes Andrew Love and Jason Dunnington as contact being made, and that's gonna be Love getting that spot up into P13. Wasn't Andrew Love up in the air at the start of this race? It looked like he was, and now he's in 13th.
He may have been, yeah. He's up to 13th, and he's 4th in class, and he's always. And it's a group of Spec 2 drivers from 10th to 13th. So we're going to get some replays here, and I'm glitched out, obviously, of course, because that's what happens when you're wanting to see some really hard battling. So I can't give you any kind of oh, there we go. I think we're there now. All right, so we're watching here, and you see Braun falling back, and it's just nowhere for the cars behind to go. They were 4 wide already, and you can see all the carnage. I think that was Kurt Nunez that was involved. That was the 357 car, 257 car, maybe Edgar Sanchinelli involved as well. We're on board here with Nunez, and you can just see Braun falling back, and there's nowhere for the cars to go. I mean, He's basically in the middle of the pack. There was nowhere for him to move over as cars were swamping him both left and right. And so tough break for those cars that got involved.
And it was Sancinelli, the one that was up in the air in the midst of all that. Let's follow his perspective in all of this. There's the slowing car of Braun, and holy cow, he monster trucked off the back of Braun. Braun, you can see, got hit by about 16,000 different competitors as they had their way down the start-finish straight away. I'm not really sure what I expected to see at the start of this race, but it certainly wasn't that. We have Spec Racer Fords achieving orbits. We've got multiple other racers running at some difficulties, and one of them being our very own Mr. Joshua Wilkie at a moment of his own.
Yeah, and just see he's in the middle, 3 wide coming through 2 and 3, and you can just see just getting turned by Russell there. Not really anything that Russell did wrong. It's just the racing line, and that's how it goes sometimes in contact made. You saw Wilkie around. He is down in 23rd, but he's still on the track, and he's chasing down the cars in front.
As we see these racers still tackling this race, let's see the drama that happened with Antonio. It's a spin coming out of the final turn, and not really holding the brakes there. And unfortunate for Jackson, just came piling in to that accident. Unfortunate stuff. As I thought, I was just seeing a driver spin coming out of turn number 4. That turn 4, it is such a bizarre corner because it feels fast and slow at the same time. You feel perfectly planted on the ground and sketchy. I flipped a Super Formula car coming out there one time, and that really speaks volumes to the kind of driver I am.
Yeah, as we're on board here with Chris Thorpe, and that was the other car. That is the Felix Samoa's the 116 Motorsport car livery. And you see just checking up, and then he just gets hit from behind by the 46 of Alish Pleva. So a little contact there, and we get the Lego front end of the car popping off, Lego my ego. And as we're back to the front, it looks like Eric Luke in the lead, Lasky in second, Panero, as we're getting a replay here with Ian Gibson.
Oh, I thought they were going to go 4 wide into 4. They were 4 wide into 4, and 4 into 4 does not work there. So Ian Gibson with a spin, multiple other racers collected in that drama. I think we can finally say, I was just going to say, I think we can finally say the race has calmed down. That would age like milk in the Nevada sun if I said, so I'm going to shut my mouth right then and there and talk about this moment for Josh Wilkie into the final turn of turn number 8, and you can see, contact being made, and Flavio Angelo having to goose up the throttle to avoid getting taken out in that round of bowling.
Yeah, that was just a miscommunication between the drivers on the braking point, as we saw a car a little bit further on the inside as we're getting a replay of Josh Justice. Once again, I'm going to have to pass it to you, Ron.
Yeah, this is the replay of him coming down pit lane. So already had some damage on that car. And then you can see him a little bit sawing on the wheel. And I think he may have taken too much liberties of that inside turn and may have just picked himself up a black flag. Josh Justice has completely left the session now. And that was an intended call for him to come down pit lane, as he signaled out in the iRacing chat. So we take a look at a moment involving Dirk Braun. Contact being made. That was in the early stages of this race, and he has now been poached into a spin. As it stands right now, he is slot down in 33rd. So had a pretty rough start. Things still going poor for him. He's the first car 1 lap down. Very lucky. Actually, I say very lucky about that gap. Josh Wilkie, where is Josh running at the present moment? If he can get a really good result, even with that spin a little bit earlier on and that contact down into the final 2 turns, if he can walk away from this race with a good result, he may be able to pull that championship out. It would be a big ask with a 40-point gap, but, I've seen stranger things.
Yeah, well, it helps that there's 39 cars in the race, so obviously that's going to extend the points out a little bit. So we'll see. I think we'll get hopefully have a resolution to that at the end of the race today. But I will kind of mention Favini, Sancinelli, Braun, Hawkey, Justice, Ospec, Monty, Reese, and Russell have all made a pit stop already. Obviously, we talked about Josh Justice being out of the race. He's called it a day, and we've got this nice 7-car train up here at the front.
Yeah, nice little squabble going on that we have on screen right now. So here's another squabble. It's Kurt Nunez and Chris Thorpe. Thorpe in that very damaged 912 machine. Gonna have to yield that spot to Nunez, who jumps his way up into the top 20. The air conditioning mod in a Spec Racer Ford may work for comfort, but at the same time here at the present moment, actually, I said this a little bit earlier on, so I really should have thought better about it in terms of bringing this up in the race with the information that we had from practice earlier on. Practice was kind of cool. This race right now, I think, about 81 Fahrenheit for your current ambient temperature with the track temp at 105. So maybe there is some method to the madness about that air conditioning mod. I still don't think it'll work out well for him.
I think as long as he has a car in front, I think he'll be okay. He'll be able to get to the pit stop. As we see Hawkey just running wide there. I think he's going for the long. I think he's decided, you know what? I think I'm done for today. And tows it back to the pits. And so that's going to be it for Mr. Hawkey. It's fun while it lasted, as he is now back in the pits. And we're back at the front with Luke ahead of Lasky, Pinero, Schramm, Joyner, Green, and now Felix Samoa's your top 7. That big pack up there as we see Jason Dunnington moving back in that Air Force World War II inspired fighter plane livery that he has on the car. Very, very sharp.
Has a very nice looking paint scheme on a lot of these machines up and down the grid. As here we go. I thought I was just going to see a battle there down to the turn involving Kevin Adrian, Hugh Simpkins, and Dunnington right behind. I gotta say though, well held for Hawkey. Just went into that MotoGP penalty lap, sort of on the outside of that turn, and then stopped in there. So well done, very well disciplined. Oh, dang it! That was a contact with Petrus and Rocha, and you can see the other car involved in that was Adam Bradshaw, and Bradshaw and Rocha's both front clips have been ripped off of those race cars, probably all right for sale on eBay. As we take a look at Rocha, they've had a moment a little bit later on. What in the world happened there? Did he lock it up big time, or he just decided to go for a round of bowling?
I think he locked it up and then realized where he was and just basically released the brake and went through the corner. Yeah, so kind of a smart thing there. Just he wanted to make sure that he didn't encumber anybody else as he flew through there. So kind of nicely done there by Rocha, and as we saw both pieces of toast are ready. The toast you mentioned earlier there, Rod.
That is a comment that I don't think I'll be able to let down for the rest of this show, as we look at Thorpe and Josh Wilkie making contact yet again. You can see damage on all 3 of these race cars as Lace Pleva looking to split the middle and try and go for the move on the both of them. Wilkie going to keep that momentum rolling through the turn, maybe running a little bit off the apex, as here comes Pleva right to the back of them. They'll head their way through the kink of turn at number 7, and who's going to win out in this fight? Pleva, he thought he gave it a couple of thoughts and a couple of peeks, but he did not go for the move off into the final turn. Now Jason Perry coming into the pit lane. Do want to raise, if you see some drivers jump up inexplicably, that is because the pit entry here completely shortcuts most of the final sector.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It is a very strange pit entry. Kind of, I guess Silverstone is the closest one that kind of reminds me of. Is you do miss a couple of corners there as you're coming your way through the pits, and it's a very long entry line. So that's going to make things look a little strange there on the leaderboard there. You can see it on the right-hand side of the screen as they come down, and we'll see if there's any weirdness that happens when we get into our pit cycle regarding that pit entry.
Yeah, will be rather interesting. I think as I pass it off to you, I'm not sure if it got picked up on the microphone, but I didn't hit the cough button in time for me to hiccup. So that's not touching that one. Do want to talk about some of the hard chargers up to this point here in the race. So Kane Halliburton up 25, albeit he did not take the start. Well, he did take the start, did not set a qualifying time. So those numbers may be a little bit overinflated, but hey, still 25 spots gained ever since the drop of the green flag. I don't think he will mind that one bit. Outside that, though, some other hard charges include Jason Dunnington making his series debut in the 088 car. He's right now up 11 spots. Side-by-side racing between Nathaniel Schramm and Marco Pinero. That's a battle for the final podium spot right now. Look at Ian Joyner in the midst of that battling as well. In the 8 car, through into P3, holding on to that spot is Pinero, and now Schramm feeling some pressure from Joyner.
Yeah, they're starting a battle here amongst the back marker, or not saying back markers, but the people in the middle of this group, this lead pack, as they're getting these runs and not really finding any place to go with them once they get it. So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be one of those that we'll see if anybody up front. And we're at the 14-minute mark. We'll see if anybody up front decides to maybe try and undercut and use some of the traffic to maybe use the draft to their advantage and maybe pick up a little bit of time as we see a car to the inside there. That is Colin Earl running in P10, who is he's worked his way, and Philip Berry just making that pass to move up, as well as Gardini. So we'll see if these cars in the back of this front group here decide they might want to take an early pit stop and just get some clean air and not have to worry about this battle that we've got going on up front.
Yeah, and this battling up at the front of the field still rather close. I think the biggest gap is the one between Marco Panera and Nathaniel Schramm, and even then, right as I say it, that gap just closes up right away. So shows you how quickly things that come out of my mouth age like milk in the Nevada sun. Claudio Gardini, Phil Berry, and Colin Claudio Gardini, Phil Berry, Colin Earl, Kane Halliburton, and Alexander Gorson involved in their own battle. I got it at the second time without my tongue getting wrapped around my teeth 17 and a half times. That's a battle that we've got on screen right now. Look at those racers. Phil Berry in the Cookie Monster car looking to take a bite out of his competition as he's right behind Gardini, getting a bump from Earl.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see that front group, this second group here, a group of 5. So we've got a front group of 7. We've got the second group of 5. We got the third group of 3 with Simpkins, Adrian, and Dunnington. And then the gaps are quite a bit bigger in the back, with the exception of Wilkie and Pleva. Pleva all over the back of Wilkie's car right now. As that gap is only about 2/10 as we see this second group with Halliburton, who I think is maybe just looking to see if he can get to the front of this group. I don't know if he's going to be able to make up a 4-second gap to that lead group. But maybe with a little pit stop strategy, Mike can get that done and challenge for a race win.
Yeah, there's still a lot of racing left to go here, so we can't discredit anybody from having a good shot to win. Well, at least the drivers who are still in the race. I don't have a feeling that Josh Justice is going to come back from being 11 laps down and out of this race for quite some time to make his way up from P35 all the way up to the race win. But all the races we have in this camera shot right now have a good shot to get it done. We'll have to worry about those pit stops as well. I think the pit stops on these shorter tracks, Charles, have a bit more importance than they usually do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the time lost when you get in these pit stops, if you make a mistake on entry, obviously you don't want a penalty of any kind. As we see 3 wide coming down, that's Cathcart, Thorpe, Jason Perry, and bringing Santinelli along with them going down to turn 6. Just a very tight battle there. Perry able to get clear as we have Cathcart and Santinelli still battling side by side through 7 into 8. And who's going to come out? Looks like it's going to be Cathcart, but Santinelli's got a good run and gets kind of blocked off there by Cathcart.
And they are still bump drafting as they head their way onto the start-finish straightaway. Chris Thorpe, now with the damage repaired on that race car, will slip back in tow, trying to get the drafting from Edgar Santinelli as they head their way down the start-finish stretch into turn number 1, side by side between Cathcart and Santinelli. Who's going to back out first? Who's going to get this move done? Cathcart going to hold on to that outside. Santinelli having to cut and have a big curb whack there, but the inside is the good spot to be in as you head your way off through turn number 3. But if you don't get that move done, you're going to be screwed, and he's screwed. Turn number 4 going to result in Cathcart jumping his way back up into P number 28. So Santinelli going to have to rethink that move. And with that battling, Petras and Rocha has now been brought into that battle as well. Don't want to raise this. There are, despite the fact that we are expecting this race, so that's a lockup from Cathcart, and Santinelli gonna have another shot to get it done, but he has a slow run. Gotta make that call to come down pit lane is Santinelli. Interesting stuff from the driver of the 257 cars. We near the halfway mark in this final race of the season. Was just gonna say, as you know, these racers not giving us the opportunity to mention this color bit, as Claudio Gardini runs wise, he has his way off into turn number 6. Was just gonna say, Charles, despite the fact that it's been a hectic start and we are expecting real estate problems to be rather big here at Navarra, there are some racers who are effectively in no man's land.
Yeah, absolutely. You get out of that draft and you're out by yourself. It's very, very difficult to make up time. And so we see Claudio Gardini having to fall back, serve his slowdown. So he's back out on the track, and we're going to see Santinelli coming out as you see him coming out of the pits there. And that's a kind of a tricky little pit exit because it's kind of like, I guess, Monza is you're coming right out just as the breaking point of turn one, or I should say the turn-in point of turn one. As we see still battling between Pleva and Wilkie. Wilkie doing a good job of holding off Pleva. Pleva is a fast driver, and Wilkie is just saying, nope, not yet. It's not time for you to come by yet. I'm going to hang on to this position. But you can see, obviously, the damage on both of those cars. They've already been in the war, and we're 19 minutes into a 40-minute race. As we're going to see anybody else come out of this group. Nope, we do have a little blink there from Colin Earl, who is hanging on to that second position in this little pack of five, as we've got Gardini now at the back of that group. And so far, really, Halliburton getting kind of hung up. I mean, obviously, we talk about Kane being a very, very fast driver and really likes to start from the back and work his way up through the field. And but this time, he's just got to kind of caught up a little bit. He can't really do anything as he makes a dive down to the inside of one. See if he's going to feather through into 2 and 3, and looks like he's able to get that move done over Barry. So it's going to move him up one position into P9 overall and P2 in this little group of 5. So that's one done, and so now he's got Colin Earl in front.
And as that battling is going on, there's a battle right behind between Phil Barry and Alexander Gorson. Look at Gorson on the outside of that Cookie Monster machine of Barry. That's a battle for the lead in Spec 2 right now as they duke it out. Look at that, 3 wide now. Claudio Gardini looking to split the difference, go 3 wide with him. Down the backstretch into turn number 6. He jumps his way in front of Barry, splits the 2 Spec 2 racers. As here we go, more drivers making that call to come down pit lane. It's Phil Barry being joined in the pits by Jason Green and Colin Earl. Interesting stuff at the front from Green. Usually see him make these pit calls work. I remember a couple of seasons ago at Silverstone, he made a rather off-the-wall pit strategy work out in his favor to grab a win. Been a while since Jason was able to win here in the Spec Racer Fords. Let's see if today may be the day with that interesting strategy call as we take a look at a moment involving Ian Gibson in the 893 car. Off into turn number 1, into 2 and 3 right about now. Runs wide through 2 and... he avoids a barrier, avoids a gravel, but one of his front tires just got turned into a perfect cube.
Yeah, just locked it up going in 3. Just carried a little too much speed into turn 3. Locks up on the outside there, and just wisely just straightens the wheels up. And as we see a 3 wide going down into this corner, and that's Lasky on the inside making that move. Panero looking to come back on the in the middle with the 26 car there of Nate Schramm also working his way through, and looks like Lasky's going to lose out the positions again as he tried to make a move in there and just kind of got shuffled back. So that's one of those you kind of mark down in your memory banks there is, okay, that's not the place to try and make that move, as we just got a massive line in front, and now we're coming up on lap traffic.
Yeah, that's Elias Pleva coming out of the pits right as these racers blow his doors off. One more thing to raise, talking about the pit stops, as Marco Panero is going to go for the dive on the lap guard there into turn number 3. One thing to raise, talking about the pit stops here, is the fact that the pit lane time, more or less about half a lap that these racers spend. I mean, you look at the pit stops we've had thus far in the low 40s, high 30s. We have some racers, mainly Elias Pleva, who just spent 59 seconds down pit lane, which is part of the reason why he has now been lapped. But it is such a disproportionately long time that he spent down pit lane compared to the racetrack, as Marco Panero and Caden Lasky both going to come down pit lane. Interesting calls from that duo.
Yeah, I think that was. I think Panero got clear and said, "I've got some clean air. Let me get into the pits." And I think Lasky said, "I think I want to get out of this as well," and just followed him down. I think he wants to keep Marco Panero in his sights for the entire race, if at all possible, until the end when he can look at him through his rearview mirror. So he's going to be looking to have a quick stop. We see Samoa's in as well, Adrian and Dunnington in as well. So we've got several cars that came down to the pits around the midpoint of the race.
Yeah, so we are now officially into the second half of this event. Jason Dunnington and Kevin Adrian also making that decision to come down pit lane. But now that we have half the race in our rearview mirror, I think the early drama has gotten out of some driver systems. But up at the front, they've been keeping it smooth, which usually means one of two
Oh,
things. Either it ends in disaster or otherwise. It's ended in disaster for Kane Lasky as a black flag in the air for him. He's been able to jump in front of Panero, but at what cost? The black flag in the air for him. Not sure whether it was an unsafe pit entry, unsafe pit exit, or speeding, but either way, Lasky really gonna get a shin kick as a result of that.
yep. Coming out of the pits, it's going to be on exit as he is sitting there, and we're watching for the green. And so he comes out. Oh, he crossed the
Oh,
white line. There it is. So unsafe pit exit, and that is going to take him out of contention for this race win, unfortunately. And it's just a minor thing, but that's the rules, and you have to abide by it. So he's going to come back in for a drive-through or a stop and hold.
you know, it's an unfortunate moment there, and it looks bad from the air. A big mistake from Lasky. But one thing to raise talking about these Spec Racer Fords is compare it to the sports car counterparts here on the iRacing platform. It's the only car where you're basically sitting directly in the middle of it. At least in the sports car realm, you look at prototypes. There, you're either sitting on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, whether it be a hyper, I nearly said a DPI there, holy cow. Whether I nearly said LMP1 also, but whether it be a hypercar, an LMP2, an LMP3, whether it be a GT3 or GT4 car, or some other low-level sports cars, you don't sit in the middle of pretty much any outside of the Spec Racer Ford, so it can make it a little bit tricky to try and judge the sides of the car. But either way, a very costly mistake to make for Kane Lasky. He's still out there on the racetrack, but will have to come in to serve that penalty. Also, a black flag in the air for Petrus and Rocha behind the wheel of the 349 car, as he was running a little bit farther behind him. That's going to relegate him a little bit farther. May not have been a pit lane infraction, though. It may have been for incidents. He's been the epicenter of a lot of drama thus far here tonight, as let's see as he has his way down to turn number 6, running smooth, too much speed, and around he's going to go, and that right there, I think, just put him over the limits.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. I think he just hit the incident limit for off tracks, and that little half spin is going to be a 2x. And he says, "I'm going to immediately come down and get this done." So he's coming into the pits now to take it. As you can see, the winding pit entry road, very slow as well. I think that adds to the length of the pit stop, as he's going to come down and take his drive through and get back out there.
Yeah, and Lasky's still out there for now. I'm trying to I nearly said missile lock. I'm trying to figure out exactly where he is right now. So Andrew Love coming down pit lane right in front of him in the 554 car. So I'm trying to figure out who's going to be next. Will Lasky make that call to pit? I don't believe he will, to come in to serve that black flag. We saw it a couple of weeks ago with Marco Panero not realizing that he had a black flag and actually getting flat out disqualified from that race. As Claudio Gardini, I was just going to raise this, Guido in the production truck, reading my mind, just at the fifth lap of the race last time by oh boy, Gardini been very quick up to this point here in Navarra. He's taken to the track like a duck to water, as much as he's still got some lap cars battling it out right in front. Gardini utilizing that draft and putting on a pretty solid drive up to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a great run. And you said fastest lap of the race by, I think it was like 0.03 of a second over Nate Schramm. As we have, speaking of Schramm, coming into the pits, as well as Eric Loop, that's going to let Ian Joyner take the lead. And Kane Halliburton is going to be second in that group, but there's a 5-second gap. So Halliburton has cleared the rest of his competitors in that second pack of cars. So he's got some clean air, so he can set some fast laps as cars are still circling in or cycling into the pits. We'll see how much time he can make up on Joyner before they come in for the pit stop.
keeping his nose to the grindstone, try and make up a little bit of time. Joyner, though, very impressive to see him doing well in this race. He said it not too long ago. The Spec Racer Ford, not really a car that we see Ian Joyner run in at all here in the Weekend Warriors. We saw him run last week. We're seeing him here this week. Nice to see him branching out. I would still love to see what Joyner can do in a Formula V, because in yesterday's interview, Charles, I'm not sure how much you keep track of the other Formula Vs here on SMB, but Tortello, obviously a very good racer in those cars, just finally is no longer a reigning champion, as Alexander Gorson coming down pit lane along with Mario Kremser. But he won 3 straight championships, didn't win it this season because he was busy with real-life racing adventures, but now that he's back on that full-time swing, he says, yeah, I want to try and get that #1 back on my car next year. So I really want to see somebody challenge Tor over on the Formula V side of things, but this is going to be a challenging moment for Kane Lasky as he heads his way out of the final turn. That black flag still in the air. It has not been served, and you will fully expect to see that black flag get turned into something a little bit different than that. Add in some color to it. It'll add in a white flag as Kane Lasky has now been disqualified, so that's going to take him out of contention. The 09 car going to drop from P5 all the way to P last. We'll see him get abducted by a UFO in just a couple of moments time. Marco Pinero going to hold on to P4. Nathaniel Schramm probably going to pull off the easiest overtake of his life here in a couple of moments time, as we're counting the moments away for Kane Lasky before he gets sucked up into that UFO. He heads his way down to turn number 5 with Ian Joyner making that call to come down pit lane, and there's Lasky. He's now been sucked up into that UFO portal. Here's Joyner coming in from the race lead along with Kane Halliburton and Claudio Gardini.
Yeah, just, with the happening Pinero last week and then Lasky this week, I'm just wondering if maybe there's a change to the iRacing system, that these guys are not seeing these black flags as well as you might think. So I'm just kind of curious, or they're just maybe Lasky just running it out just out of frustration, knowing that he's not going to be able to compete for the win. He just said, I'll just run around until I get kicked off, and that's exactly what happened. As we have Joyner now coming out of the pits. You see Pinero making his run with Schramm behind coming in, and we're going to see where it's like Joyner's going to come back out in third, and he's going to have Felix Samoas hot on his trail.
And Samoa sang in a cooker last time by at a solid 108. That was a fast lap of the race, both for Samoas as a driver and for everybody in this field. So Joyner, my apologies. Samoa's really cooking. Joyner right in front of some. Why am I getting the hiccups here on this show? Perfect way to bring this season to a conclusion. Don't kill me now, indigestion. But now Samoa's going to feel the burn. Joyner going to try and get the move done around the outside of him off into turn number 6. Not close enough through the braking zone. And all that battling, Marco Pinero and crapoli. Nathaniel Schramm and Marco Pinero holding on to P2 and P1 respectively. I need to go drink a can of WD-40. I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries. We'll keep an eye on everything for you, as we have the 7-car train that we had before the pit stop is now 4 cars. Pinero, Schramm, Joyner, Samoas, your top 4. Jason Green 3 seconds back, so obviously lost a little bit of time with his pit stop, and losing even more time as he's running by himself. Halliburton, as we've got Wilkie with a black flag that just popped up, so probably incident points as well. Or no, I think that's maybe on pit entry, because I'm seeing him come down the pits now. So maybe that's he's already been in the pits once. Oh yeah, so incident points for Wilkie as he is coming down into to serve his black flag. We're on board here with Mario Kremser coming down into the corner here. I think this is just around And the final X was Wilkie just moving out of Kremser's way to avoid contact and running off track. So that's a tough way to get your black flag for sure.
Oh, that's a huge kick in the balls for Josh. That's unfortunate. Had to go off the tracks to try and avoid contact, and as a result of that, not only does he pick up a black flag, he gets overtaken by his main championship rival in the midst of all that as well. Flavio Andelo with a spin off to the final turn, as we're going to jump back to live action in a couple of moments' time and follow these battles all throughout the field. Kane Halliburton and Claudio Gardini battling for 6th and 7th as Marco Pinero, Nathaniel Schramm, Felix Simoes, and Ian Joyner all running in this front pack. Jason Green, that early call to come down pit lane hasn't really worked out for him, as with 7 minutes left on the clock, he has about 3.5 seconds as a gap to himself and Marco Pinero, your current race leader. So he's got to go for a big swing and hope these racers get involved in their own drama as Simoes and Nathaniel Schramm battle off into turn number 6 as here comes Joyner, gonna try and get the deal done as well. Nathaniel Schramm set to lose out 2 spots in the span of a single blink of the eye, and that's going to be Schramm slipping his way up into 3rd, holding on to that spot still. May not be the P2 that he was in a matter of 30 seconds ago, but damage being limited.
Yeah, and Jason Green is dropping time to the cars behind, but he's about to have some help. He's going to get Kane Halliburton and Claudio Gardini right behind him, and they're going to make that a 3-car pack, and that might help those help him out as far as maintaining pace against the lead group. As you can see, the lap times popping up there. It's not too far off the pace, but obviously 0.3 of a second faster is the two-car group of Halliburton and Gardini behind. And if these cars up front start battling through corners, as we see with Pinero and Simoes, and if any 2 cars are going to battle through several corners in a row, it will be these 2 cars and these 2 drivers. So we may see some fireworks before this race is done, and we may have that second group join the first.
Yeah, and if we do have a convergence of those groups, that is going to be a rather hectic end to what's been a hectic season here in the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warriors. How many times have we seen a just massive hornet's nest of drivers all right on top of each other battling for wins in both class and overall? It's been a rather common occurrence up to this point in the season. As we look now to battle involving Colin Earl and Hugh Simpkins, that's a battle for P10, and Simpkins going to get that job done in the 377 car to break his way up into the top 10. Kevin Adrian also involved in that battle. Do want to touch on the classes though, as in all this chaos they have been a little bit lost by the wayside, for lack of a better term. Alexander Gorson, top of the Spec 2 competitors right now, slotted in 8th, and Kurt Nunez is your leader in Masters, as we take a look at a moment involving Kurt Nunez and how he got that move done. That's Tom Gradwell a little bit farther up the road. A lock up into the turn and through into the Masters lead will go Kurt Nunez. Turn 6 proving to be a trouble spot, as we kind of expected.
Yeah, as we kind of expected, as we see Simoes and Pinero now just almost neck and neck coming their way down the front straight, or I'm sorry, through the back straight, as we see Simoes taking the lead over Pinero. Still, these cars just knotted together, and it is actually helping Green close up the gap a bit. He's made up a couple of tenths, as well as Halliburton and Gardini closing that gap to Green as well. See, that's a nice little move down to the inside. Nice and easy. Really wasn't much fight from Pinero. He knows that this race is far from over. And now we're going to see Schramm move to the inside of turn 1.
Oh, you could tell that was a close quarters moment because it sounded like I was undergoing electroshock therapy. Schramm and Pinero and Simoes nearly duking it out 3 wide into 1, as Simoes with a little bit of a slip up coming at turn number 3. You can see him seesawing at the wheel a teeny tiny bit as we jump to this battle involving Colin Earl, Hugh Simpkins, and Kevin Adrian side by side into 1, and that's going to be Earl in that number 19 machine, making a series debut, I believe, jumping his way up into the top 10 as it stands right now. Simoes, your leader. Pinero in P2 as Ian Joyner looks to get a move done on Nathaniel Schramm for 3rd. There they go side by side through 6, close to making contact. They do make contact at the turn. Who's going to get the upper hand in this battle? Joyner going to get stuck on the outside, but hold on to the inside line into the final turn, the hairpin of 8, and you can nearly see those drivers coming to blows out of it, but there into P3 goes Ian Joyner, blinking out big time as Colin Earl. So if you saw him disappear a couple of times, that's exactly why. They're still duking it out with Joyner and Schramm. There's going to be be music to the ears, at least temporary music to the ears, for Samoas and Marco Pinero as they look to build that gap between themselves and the cars a little bit farther behind. Kane Halliburton setting in a cooker with a 107.830. Pretty good lap time from your current P5 runner as he gets some moves done a little bit farther behind. But Samoas and Pinero battling right now. Pretty good battling between those racers, as just touching on that with Halliburton. Actually got a nice move done on Jason Green in the midst of all that. You could see him pulling out to get that move done as they had their way off through the kink of turn number 1. And Jason Green, I think a Spec Racer Ford veteran, realized, yeah, not too much to win in terms of fighting this, so he just backed off.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They caught Jason Green a couple of seconds over the last few laps, and he realized that Halliburton was coming through, and there was no sense fighting it. And now he's just going to kind of tuck in and see if he can ride on Halliburton's coattails. And they are closing the gap up to that lead group. The gap's down to 3 seconds. So Halliburton has got some serious pace in that car, and they are trying to close that gap down. And what they need is this front group with a couple of laps to go to do some serious fighting.
It was a black flag in the air for Adam Bradshaw. That's not going to help out that Masters racer's case at all. Currently P3 runner and Masters of Nathaniel Schramm. Yeah, oh boy, that could have ended in disaster. You can see him slowing at the wheel to keep that car going in a straight line. His tires have been turned into semicircles because of that lockup, but he still holds on to the back of Ian Joyner, holds on to that draft as well. The white flag going to be in there this time by one more lap of racing action from this season. And as has so often been the case, it's Marco Pinero and Felix Samoas battling for win in a Spec Racer Ford race. But this time, things are slightly different. It looks like the championship is just about sealed for Marco Pinero, unless Marco Pinero gets struck by a falling anvil, drops all the way down to last, and Samoas wins. It's pretty much assured when it comes to the championship. So there's a little bit of stress taken off of these racers' minds. However, Ian Joyner and Nathaniel Schramm looking to try and shock the world and get their first win of the season. Joyner, a past Formula Ford champion. Schramm, a driver who made his debut this season. Both looking to impress as a white flag in the air, and Samoa's on the outside of Pinero as they head their way down to turn number 1 into 2 and 3 right now. Pinero going to hold on to that inside line. They dram on the brakes into the turn. Contact being made as Pinero and Samoas touch. That is going to be a breath of fresh air for Pinero as Samoas has a bit of a headache all through there. Some traffic a little bit farther up the road. Not sure if that'll affect this too much, but Pinero heads his way off through the kink on the back end of the circuit. Turn number 5 for the last time, but just enough time for Samoas to draw alongside. He looks for the move on the outside. A battle last late breakers down into turn number 6. Who's going to win out in this fight? Pinero holds on to that inside line and gets a bit of a wiggle on. They make contact again into 7. Now the kink at the end of the lap. Who's going to win out? Who's going to get that move done down to the final turn? The hairpin at the end of this lap. Pinero holds on to a contact made again. Joyner going to try and capitalize on that. Samoas is slow. Traffic a little bit farther on the outside, but Marco Pinero going to cap on a masterful season with a masterful win here at Navarra. Side by side in a photo finish at the line. 7,000ths of a second. The gap between Ian Joyner and Felix Samoas at the end. Nathaniel Schramm dropped down like a rock at the end of that race. He holds on to that result just barely, as you can see contact involving Kevin Adrian a little bit farther beyond. I think that was Kevin Adrian, Colin Earl, with a moment off into turn number 8. But Marco Pinero, he didn't really just do too much. I think that he just blocked off well enough that Samoas wasn't able to make it work.
Yeah, it was a great battle there on the last lap between those 4 cars. And you're right, Joyner dropped way down. Did he get a black flag on the last lap from some of that contact? I don't know, but it looks like he's dropped way down in the running order. So we have to go back and look at that and see if there was contact between him and one of the other cars. But should have been a P4 for Joyner. I'm sorry, he's right up there. I don't know what I'm thinking about. He's finished in second. So hell, I mean, I think
Kurt
just
Nunes had a
forget everything I said for the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I gotta say there, Charles, you were onto something. It was Kurt Nunes who was on track for a win in Masters. He picked up a black flag at the end of this race, and he dropped down to P31. So something went on with Kurt Nunes. You were onto something here, Charles, as what in the world happened here? It looked like he was already a little bit slow. Was he running out of gas at the end of this race? I think Kurt Nunes may have been out of gas at the end of this race as he headed his way out of the turn, runs off the track, and I think in the process of all that, he put himself over the incident limit. That's a big kick in the shin. So Thompson Trophy and a black flag and a round of curling as they head their way off into the gravel trap on the outside turn number 2 and 3. I'm not sure how else I can describe that. One car bonked into the other,
Yeah, absolutely. It's it looks like somebody just lined up at the pool table and said, let's break, and the next thing you know, they're going everywhere. But yeah, so as standard practice at the end of these Spec Racer races, everybody's wrecking their cars. And they found a nice little area out there in the MotoGP penalty box, more or less, if you want to call it that. And so it's the capper to the season. So great battle up front between those 4 cars, and great battle, and then seeing Halliburton kind of run up through the field again. Great job by him. And we did have several cars that were up, multiple positions. If you look, Halliburton was up 31, Gorson up 11, Dunnington up 14, Andrew Love up 11, Gradwell up 14, Ondelo up 20, Favini up 17, and Brad Cathcart up 16. So some great drives by some of our drivers out there today.
Yeah, some absolutely awesome drives from competitors up and down the field, and we'll get a chance to take a look at those race results in just a couple of moments' time and let you know how it all shook out at the very end of this. This also actually works out quite well, as I can see the points at the end of the season have been loaded. Once again, brilliant job from Aaron Bray to get all those worked out so we can share them for you between now and the end of this broadcast. But Marco Pinero seals the deal on the championship, seals the deal on yet another win for him here in season 3 of 2025. He gets it done about a quarter of a second, the gap at the end between himself and Ian Joyner. Very far from that. It was 0.008 of a second between Ian Joyner and Felix Samoas in that squabble for P2 and P3. Joyner getting the better of Samoas in the midst of all of that. Nathaniel Schramm will finish in 4th. Kane Halliburton rounds at your top 5 at the end of this race. Jason Green going to walk away with a P6 result. Claudio Gardini, very impressive racer from this, and a pretty all-right result for him, despite the fact he finished a little bit farther back, effectively in no man's land compared to everybody else. He still finishes in front of your Spec 2 winner at the end of it all, of Alexander Gorson. Phil Berry walks away from this race with P9. Colin Earl will round out your top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Adrian finishing in 11th, the final step on the Spec 2 podium. Jason Dunnington finishing in 12th, Andrew Love in 13th, Jason Perry in 14th, Eric Luke in 15th. Tom Gradwell gets the Masters class victory, finishing in 16th overall. Flavio Ondelo finishing in 17th. Chris Thorpe finishing in P18 and P2 in Masters. Josh Wilkie finishing in 19th. Paul Jackson in 20th. Andrea Favini finishing in 21st. Adam Bradshaw, the final step on the Masters podium, in 22nd. Brad Cathcart finishing in 23rd. Hugh Simpkins finished in 24th. Ian Gibson 25th. Peterson Rocha in 26th. Edgar Sanchinelli in 27th. Dirk Braun 28th. Marcel Gorson 29th. Mario Krimser finishing in 30th. Kurt Nunez finishing in 31st. Thompson Trophy winner today. Kane Lasky finishing in 32nd. Al Spleva finishing in 33rd. Patrick Hawkey in 34th. Josh Justice finishing 35th. Jorg Monty in 36th. Joaquin Osbeck in 37th. Scott Russell 38th. Antonio Reese in 39th. And our final finisher on the grid.
So those are your results at the end of it all here from, well, it's a brilliant season in the let me try that one again. Well, it's a brilliant season here in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. See, doing the Formula Vs and the Formula 4s on back-to-back days, it causes my brain to autocorrect itself heading off into this final broadcast of the weekend. I will say, knowing my luck, I probably just jinxed it. Next season, I'm going to start it all by saying hello everybody and welcome into the Spec Racer V Weekend Warriors. That's probably gonna be how I ended up doing it next year. But let's take a look at the championship points with the 2025 season 3 now in a rearview mirror. Here's how it works out in Spec 1. Marco Pinero gets the job done over Felix Moes. You can see Pinero 916 points is his tally at the end of this championship. Felix Moes slotted in second. Kane Lasky, even with a disqualification here here still walks away with P3 at the end of the season. Jason Green and Eric Luke ran at your top 5 in Spec 1. So that's how it looks there. You can see the other rest of the drivers classified in due course. Spec 2 looks like this. Dirk Braun gets it done over Joshua Wilkie, over Matt Thompson, over Kevin Adrian, and over Petrus and Rocha. You can see the other rest of the racers slotted out there all throughout your top 10. Well done to Braun for getting the win, and thank you again to Dirk Braun for sponsoring this broadcast. Masters looks like this at the end of the season. Antonio Reese, a pretty convenient result for him, 7-11 points at the end of it all. That was a terrible joke. I apologize. Tom Gradwell finishes this season P2. Brad Cathcart, another Aussie, right behind his fellow Aussie in third. Jeff Fritcher finishes in fourth, with Adam Bradshaw rounding your top 5 in the Masters category. Interesting to see that all throughout the Spec Racer season, the boss man, Mr. Stevie Ray, never made a start. Interesting to report on that. But that's how it looks in the championship point standings at the end of this season here. And we've given the drivers the opportunity to have a chat with us, and looks like there's only one taker right now, and that is our, at the end of the day, P3 finisher. Did he finish? No, he finished P2. What am I saying? Yeah, I was looking at the results, but my results are currently having a panic attack right now, so never trust your live timing tower, folks, if you want to become a broadcaster. But Charles, we got Ian Joyner up there in the interview waiting area, so I'll drag him by the collar to have a chat with you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Ian down here and have a chat. Ian, P2 today. Really exciting finish to the race between you and Felix Samoas and Marco Pinero and Nate Schramm. Obviously this is you only done a couple of races here in the Spec Racer with us, but what did you think about today's action?
It was great fun. It was really nice being in the lead pack at the end. Wasn't quite able to hang on in the strategy last time round. I came out of Road America, so yeah, it was a big kind of a relief really to come out of the pits and still be in it. And then it was just a case of trying to, do the best I can and have a clean finish, really. So it was, really, I think there's 4 of us, wasn't there? So, not too bad. Would have been nice to have, had a bit of a go at Marco. But I think where I was going into last lap, that was probably a realistic expectation. And I'm still getting used to just the etiquette of the racing, to be honest. It's so polite for so long, and I'm never quite sure. So when's everyone going to go? And didn't want to be that guy making a crazy move and causing loads of problems. So it was nice result up on the tape line.
Yeah, for sure. For the most part, obviously, really clean racing amongst all three of our Weekend Warriors races. But I think of the 3, this is probably the closest racing that we have over the course of each weekend, because we've got some bigger bodies that we can kind of lean on each other a little bit and makes for some exciting interactions amongst the drivers. So obviously you ran really well in the Formula Ford this season, or last season as well, when you were around. So what are your thoughts about the Spec Racer versus the Formula Ford?
To be honest, I think I enjoy the Formula Ford, the Spec Racer a little more to drive, to be honest. I love the FF as well, but it does, you're just constantly kind of chasing the rear. It's sort of fun, but also just kind of gets a bit relentless, especially on tracks with long corners. This was a little bit more settled. The fact you've got the body, and like you say, you can more comfortably rub is a nicer place to be. So I think given the choice of wanting to have a good race, I'd probably rather be in this.
Well, I know if you watch the broadcast back, Ron has already petitioned for you to jump in the Formula V's next season. So he'll probably
a headache.
give Tortolo a headache is what he's saying.
I mean, I've raced them not for a couple of years now, but I've done a little bit in them. I love driving them. To be honest, one of the reasons I graduated to the Formula Ford was just because the draft was just so relentless, and you kind of you almost never want to be in first until pretty well. Even on some straights, you don't even want to be first because you can draft past again. But you do learn a lot about racecraft those driving those kind of cars. So if I can make the run off next week, I might do the V's there. I love driving the V.
There you go. All right. Well, you've heard it here. So Ian going for the triple next season. So no, just kidding. But Ian, congratulations. A great run today. And we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go and celebrate your P2.
Yeah, thanks to Stevie and the league. I know I've been a bit intermittent, but I've really enjoyed all the ones I've taken part in. This particular, the SRFs are sort of spectacular. The field sizes and the quality of the drive and just the whole way the whole thing runs. So it's really just thanks to everyone who took part in that. It was good to be in there. I'm sure I'll do at least a few more next time round, and of course thanks to you guys for letting us be able to watch it back.
Thank you very much, Ian. Congratulations, and we'll see you in the V runoffs next week.
See you there.
And that right there was our P2 finisher at the end of this race. Ian Joyner joining us here in the broadcast booth. Would be nice to see Ian come back for either the Formula Ford or maybe even the Spec Racer Fords next season. We'll just have to wait and find out. And now we have another opportunity to have a chat with the boss man himself, Mr. Stevie Ray. You can see him up there in the interview waiting area. I did this last season, and I'm going to do it again because, as you may have heard, at the end of that Formula Ford broadcast, when we dragged him in to have a chat, has a small little sound effect that plays whenever he joins a Discord area, which I personally see as a sound effect to describe my life, but it also works out rather well. The bad news is, unlike the last time I did this last season, I don't have a pre-prepared joke for this, and we have to piece this together. Sorry, what was that, Guido? So actually, first off, considering this is another fantastic season here in the Weekend Warriors, we'll show you a nice little video that Stevie put together.
We are the Weekend Warriors, pushing past the limit line, burning rubber, breathing fire, shaving tents all of the time. This ain't just a hobby, it's a war on wheels we ride. In this league of giants, every weekend we collide. Yeah, we are the Weekend Warriors, and we're always on the line.
And we're back here on Slow Motion Broadcasting with the boss man himself, Stevie, joining us here in the booth. See, Stevie, when I dragged you in, you play the rim shot sound. The joke that I was going to say this season was, what's black and white and red all over? A badger in a Twizzler factory. But I didn't get the chance to say it because we played that video instead. But welcome into the booth, man. And once again, thank you for everything. This has been another fantastic season here for the SRFs.
Yeah, it's been a good one. I keep touch, even though I didn't run any this season. I kind of backed out a little bit and just ran the Formula Fords, but great season. I was watching the end of this race, and man, what a race.
Oh, it was super, super hectic.
Yeah.
Guido saying you should have seen the start. That start, I mean, that was, whew, boy, everybody seemed like they had beef with somebody.
Yeah.
We're certainly expecting some drama around this track, the medium speed layout here of Navarra. But another fantastic season here for the Spec Racer Fords, another fantastic season for the Weekend Warriors as a whole. I said during the Formula Ford broadcast, and I'll just say it right now again here for the Spec Racers, coming up to 10 years now with the Weekend Warriors. I'm happy to have been at least a small part of the history here, but That's pretty wild. A lot of great champions, a lot of great seasons, and we had two of the best battling it out throughout the season as well in the form of Marco Pinero and Felix Samoes.
Yeah, had a great champion. Marco come back and did it again, so congrats to him. Great race in the season. It just never fails to disappoint this group of people, drivers, friends that I call now, is never disappointed. They're always there, always supporting. I mean, we finished the last race of the season off with almost 40 people in the race. It just, you can't say enough.
And almost 40 people around a track that's a mile and a half in length as well. It's a bit of a packed end to it in more ways than one, but just an absolutely brilliant season. Again, happy to have been a part of it with all the broadcasts here on SMB. And I don't think I missed a single one throughout this season as well. So I think it was 36 shows since the start of June. Pretty well. Actually, I made the joke during the Formula V show yesterday that I think I've done like over 100 broadcasts since the start of this season, which is anyways. But Stevie, looking ahead to season 4 and the other action there, I already have a good idea as to what the FF schedule may be, just because of a show that I do with another network covering the D-Class Formula 1600 officials. But how's everything looking from just the general league side of things for season 4?
Yeah, I think we're pretty steady. Michelle's already got a head start on getting sponsorship for the Vs. We put out a call for the Formula Fords. Those guys are strong. Said we've got good participation, and the SRFs. You see it right there. We're strong too. So always can use some sponsors. We're always looking for a corporate sponsor for the season or partial season. And speaking of that, for this season, you got to thank Eric Luke for once again taking care of 4 of them. Kane Lasky sponsored one this season, and this one Bobby West did again, and then we rounded it out with Dirk Braun taking care of the last 4. So we're setting strong and just looking to continue it.
Yeah, really looking ahead to see what the action is going to be for season 4. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be an awesome way to ring in the end of the summer, bring in the fall, and run it all the way through to the near start of winter. But Stevie, it's been a pleasure yet again from my perspective. This is my 6th season now commentating full-time here for the Weekend Warriors. And I gotta say, you and everybody behind the scenes, from Jason to Aaron doing all the other work with the points, of course, Michelle and Jim on the Formula V side of things. It's a fantastic crew that you've been able to put together, and a fantastic community as well.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you and Charles and Guido, and I understand that's pretty much going to be our team moving forward unless something different changes, but looking forward to that. I mean, you guys doing it so often, being so familiar, you know all the backstories. But one little change we're going to make for next season, and I'll put this announcement out right now. Week 2, that Sunday, is the 28th of September. And that happens to be the anniversary of 10 years of the SRF Weekend Warriors. That was our first race. So that week 2 will be a non-points counting race. We're going to do something special and ask our alumni to come back and join us. I'm going to get some emails, and anybody that's around that has raced with the Weekend Warriors, we want to invite you back and just have a special thing. There's something in the background in works right now. I hope to be able to announce that later in the week, but that race is going to be a lot of fun and something special.
I'll tell you what, that is going to be a very special event to look ahead to. There's been many stories to come out of the Weekend Warriors over the years. I've gotten the opportunity to look back on some of the older Weekend Warriors shows from 2020, even a little bit earlier on than that, seeing what the Weekend Warriors used to be before I even got into the world of broadcasting that I am now, and got to be a part of this community for the other length of time that I already have. And from my perspective, from really everybody here at SMB, Stevie, it's just absolutely fantastic to have you. Adam's not here to say this, because I know he always says this whenever he gets the opportunity to. SMB wouldn't be where it is now. It wouldn't even be a thing if it weren't for you and the entirety of the Weekend Warriors coming over here in the summer of last year, and now that's been over a year since then, and everybody's landed on their feet, and we're having a good time once again. I gotta say, it's just been absolutely amazing once again. And Stevie, really looking forward to hearing what that week 2 special event may have an offer. I think that's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It will be something special for sure. I don't think there's too many leagues in iRacing that can say that they have lasted 10 years. Usually it's a couple of seasons or a couple of years, and things kind of fade out, but these guys keep coming back and keeping us strong season after season. So yeah, it's going to be I'll ask you a little trivia question. Who do you think of the current active SRF members, besides myself, goes back the farthest to the first earlier races?
Ooh, see, I would say a guy like Dan Sadro, maybe, because I know he used to kind of help with all the other stuff behind the scenes. I actually ran the league, if my memory serves me correctly, a couple of years ago. I'm trying to think now. I know Felix has been around for 5, but I'm sure there's got to be a guy like Antonio or Jurg, or maybe even Phil Berry that slightly predates him.
I'll fill you guys in on week 2 when we do our anniversary race.
There we go. That'll be some nice trivia to look ahead to that broadcast.
Somebody will Google it and research it or something, but don't. You just try to use your own brain and take a look and tell me. Send me a post on Facebook or in the group or something who you think goes back the farthest of any of our active drivers.
And nice to see the fact that we still have people who have been around for years here in the Weekend Warriors, those who have been around for a handful of seasons, and those who are still coming into the season series, season after season, race after race, year after year. Stevie, the community continues to grow. I'm very happy to be a part of it. But Stevie, we'll let you once again give a thanks or shout outs before we let you go and get everything set up for the week 13 runoffs coming up next time out.
Yeah, week 13 next week. I put out some posts while you guys were doing some announcing for this race. It's going to be, I think the first race is the V starting at 16:50, so roughly the same time as the Weekend Warriors time frame now. Track will be unknown till it session opens, but don't worry, it will be a free content track, so you do have the track. So if you want to sign up and join us next week, please do. Don't have to be a league member. This one is just all about fun. There may or may not be one rain race in that, so we'll see. We're going to start with the V's and then go the Formula Fords and then cap off the evening with the SRFs as we usually do next week. So I thank the sponsors this season for the SRFs. Huge thanks to you three, Charles, Ron, Guido in the booth. You guys tell our story, bring it to our followers and to our members themselves. So great job. It's been a great marriage since we came over here. Couldn't ask for more. So thank you guys.
And thank you as well, Stevie, for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. We love the broadcast, but the broadcast wouldn't be possible if it weren't for all the hard work you and everybody else does behind the scenes to make these events possible. But Stevie, thank you once again for joining us and looking ahead to see what the end of 2024 has in store.
Yep. Thanks, guys. We're going to finish up the year on a bang, man. It's going to be fun.
That it certainly will, Stevie. Thank you, and I would say congratulations on the result, or well done on the result here in the Spec Racer Ford. Well done on 10 years in the Weekend Warriors.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Charles. We'll catch you guys next week.
That we certainly will. That right there was the boss man himself, Stevie Ray, joining us here in the commentary booth. And I think we're a little bit short on time, but Charles, final thoughts on this season?
Once again, another great season. Panero is fantastic in the Spec Racer Ford. It's obvious, but it wasn't a runaway victory for him. He had challenges every week with some of our other drivers, and I can't wait to see what happens next season. It's going to be another step up, and we'll see if anybody can really challenge Marco for supremacy here in the Spec Racers.
You'll have to see if Marco Panero, the king of the SRS, will be able to retain his throne come time for Season 4 of 2025 and all the action that will come about it as a result of that season, set to begin in just a couple of weeks' time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. It's been an absolutely wonderful season here for the Spec Racer Fords, but a wonderful season in the Weekend Warriors period, and a wonderful season here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Ever since I started with this company when the Weekend Warriors shifted off back in July of last year, I have been an absolute fan of this company. I've been a wonderful member of the SMB community, and now that I'm at the point now where it's myself and Mr. Joshua Wilkie kind of running the show here, so to speak, and making all the stuff possible, I gotta say, I am proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to see the community that we've grown here in the Weekend Warriors and the entirety of Slow Motion Broadcasting, and I love to see what may go on in the not too distant future. Another personal note as well, talking about the end of this season. This now completes a full year that I've been doing Weekend Warriors shows full time. I started back in season 2 of 2024, and that small little break last year because of the summer and some swapperoos going on, but I love being a part of these Weekend Warriors shows. I love this crew that we have. Charles, we have been doing God knows how many shows together over the past couple of years. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor, and I hope we can do them long off into the future. Guido, always an amazing job on the cameras and the graphics. He's one hell of a producer. He may shout in our ear from time to time, but he's one of the best producers I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with. He does some fine work. And look at the pretty colors on those graphics as well. Come on, that just speaks for itself. To Josh as well, all the work that he does behind the scenes here at SMB. I got started in broadcasting the same time that he got started back in the spring of 2023. It's been awesome to see everything that's going on in the years since. I started off this broadcasting stuff as a loudmouth 18-year-old. I'm now a loudmouth 20-year-old, so a lot of things have changed over the past couple of years. But to all of you tuning into this broadcast, thank you once again for being a part of a wonderful season here in the Weekend Warriors world, and I hope that all of you can tune into the action for Season 4 come time for a couple of weeks' time, and also those V runoffs coming up in just 1 week's time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and as well, the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge, the XMS FROC series coming here to Slow Motion Broadcasting a little bit later on this month. I can officially say that will be myself and Mr. Dylan Coyle on the call for that. Dylan, an iRacing commentator that I have a lot of experience commentating events with myself, Race Spot alum, much like myself, and he's worked with a whole lot of stuff. He's big in the NASCAR world, and we got some mobile stuff to look forward to in that series as well, along with XMS, we got XSLR starting off tonight, Season 10, round number 1 at the Charlotte Oval with the ARCA cars. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. It'll be myself and the other Adam, the non-meowing Adam, Mr. Adam Thompson, on the call for that race a little bit later on tonight. But once again, folks, it's been a privilege and honor to bring the action to life here for the Weekend Warriors here in Season 3 of 2025. But for one final time, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi working all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting this season, and we hope to see you all for Season 4 in just a couple of weeks' time.